GT America, powered by AWS, returns to America's National Park of Speed today for round 2 of a doubleheader weekend. Yesterday saw GT3 championship favorite George Kurtz rally from a first lap spin to finish second behind veteran Andy Pilgrim, who scored the first series win for Ski Autosports. GT4, meanwhile, saw Rob Holland re-enter the championship picture with a dominant win in his class. Greetings from Road America. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. It'll be Shea Adam patrolling the pit lane for us. It is a pleasure to have your company as we get set for race 2 of the weekend for GT America, powered by AWS. It was an interesting day yesterday, that's for sure. George Kurtz put on a show for us, Calvin. Started at the front, found himself at the back of the field, charged forward, but came up just shy of Andy Pilgrim, who became the 6th different winner this season in the GT3 class.
Yeah, it was a thriller. It was great to see George on the charge after that bump there initially. But Andy, what a run for that team. Just really heartwarming to see those guys get their first victory with that Ferrari. But when you look at the pace, George has a significant advantage in terms of raw pace over the Ferrari, so we'll have to see how that plays out as they both start from the front row here today.
And in GT4, Rob Holland, yeah, he dominated that GT4 class, but behind him, we saw some great battles throughout the field.
We did, but with Rob Holland now 3 wins on the bounce, and that puts him within shouting distance of the championship lead. Now only sits 13 points back of Jason Bell, who's starting from row 4 here today, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to hang on to that lead in the championship here tonight.
The grid for race 2, by the way, set by fastest lap from race 1 yesterday. You saw the weather conditions. It is overcast, but no significant chance of rain throughout the course of the day, certainly during this race. This is a look at Road America. 14 turns, just over 4 miles. In a word, perfection.
It is. It's a special place. It's great to be back here, Ryan. 4 miles, very challenging. High-speed sectors, as you can see, across the start-finish road. It's a 4,400-foot run between the exit of the last corner up into turn 1. It's an uphill climb as well. Then you go down as you finish sector 1 there, down into turn 5 through the moraine sweep. Big braking zones as well, and you see that down in the Canada corner, which is turn 12 on this circuit. So top speed is important. Good braking, but handling is a key component as well around this circuit.
Track opened in 1955, a great deal owed to the vision of Cliff Tufte, a local businessman who purchased the property, developed and designed this race course, which has been largely unchanged ever since and has quickly become a favorite of fan and driver alike. This is the starting grid for race 2 of the weekend, as mentioned, set by fastest lap from race 1 yesterday. George Kurtz, the championship leader on the pole. Yesterday's winner, Andy Pilgrim, starts alongside Kyle Washington and Mirko Schultis, who had a strong run at the Callaway Corvette yesterday. They will share row 2. Jason Daskalos and Scott Smithson in row 3. David Askew and the lone GT2 car in the field, CJ Moses, sharing row 4 of the grid. There is an additional GT3 car that will start from the pit lane. That will be Jason Harward. As far as GT4 goes, Rob Holland, fastest lap yesterday in class. He starts on the class pole. Elias Sabo, strong lap yesterday. Good starting position. He'll look to turn that into a good finish here in race 2. Seth Lucas has podiumed in all 3 races in the series that he has run. He starts 3rd with Brian Putt alongside Adam Adelson, who was a contender yesterday, and Ross Schwest in row 3 of the GT4 field. Gray Newell, Jason Bell behind them. Todd Coleman and Joey De Silva behind them. Then you get to Custodio Toledo and Sean Whalen, Matt Forbush and Chris Allegro, Jay Logan, Nick Shandy making up the penultimate row with Moise Uretsky set to start the shotgun on the field. That is the starting grid. GT3, GT2, and GT4 cars all mixed together. Multi-class racing, very much the heritage of the old World Challenge days, and it's great to see. It's been a great addition to the SRO America portfolio since its debut 1 year ago.
Yeah, and it can certainly throw a curveball. If we run 40 minutes green, there's a chance for these GT3 cars to catch the GT4 cars by the end of this race and be putting a lap on them, and that can certainly make it a bit spicy for the leader.
Down to the pits, and the 3rd member of the team, Shea Adam.
Ryan, you mentioned the 88 Zalus Motorsport Lamborghini starting from the pit lane. It's going to be extra difficult for Jason Harward on cold sticker tires, but he loves the chance to come through the GT4 field. This penalty coming as a result of the contact incident responsibility in yesterday's race, but Jason is up to the task.
Thank you, Shea. Brightly colored car, the Bullicorn logo on the side. Always a fan favorite, but he's got some work to do here today. Here comes the field, just one formation lap around this massive racetrack. George Kurtz from the pole will start. He's on the left-hand side of the screen in the CrowdStrike Mercedes. The Ski Autosports Ferrari 458. That's the veteran Andy Pilgrim. They accelerate to the VP acceleration zone. The green flag flies, and race 2 of the weekend is underway. A nice, tidy start in the GT3 field. Kurtz covers off the inside. Look at Schultis taking a peek around the outside for second. Now we drop back to the GT4 start, and Rob Holland in the acceleration zone pulls ahead. And now it's a drag race for the second spot, headed towards turn 1.
Yeah, Seth Lucas gets to the inside of Elias Sabo there. They'll have to see who's the bravest on the brakes. They get into turn 1. Relatively cold tires. It's a mild morning here, about 67 degrees ambient temperature. Looks like everyone's got through there nice and clean.
Lucas broke out the brooms and swept the weekend in his debut in this championship at Watkins Glen about a month ago. Finished on the podium yesterday, jumps to second here in the early going. Right now the fight is on 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, running 2x2 under the Sargento Bridge.
Yeah, Brian Putt having a good run there. You can see that blue and white Aston Martin trying to get inside of Adam Adelson as they run down the Moraine sweep into this braking zone. ABS on these cars will certainly arrest any little mix-up that you have down into this corner.
Oh, it got tight quickly here in turn 5. Big braking zone, all downhill, and it's 2x2 deep through this field. Mostly, though, they do sort it out, headed towards blind turn number 6.
Oh, Allison out wide. That may allow Schwez to get around it before they get to turn 7. Let's take a look there. It's going to be tight.
Oh, Rob Holland has already stolen a march on the field. A massive lead over Seth Lucas, while the rest of the field squabbles for position. That is Bell taking a peek to the inside of Newell, who in turn dives inside and grabs the spot away from Adelson.
It looks like Adelson's waiting for those tires to come up to temperature and get the grip that he's looking for. So Gray Newell took advantage there, just as Jason Bell was thinking about making a move at the same time.
No waiting around in GT America, powered by AWS. This is single driver sprint racing. Just 40 minutes to settle this. Dropping back, Joey De Silva looking racy. He puts the super to the inside of Bell, who wisely backs out of it. First time through the kink.
Yeah, that's a corner you don't want to be on the outside with someone making a bold move to the inside. Wise move there by Jason Bell.
Discretion, the better part of valor for one of the championship contenders in this fierce GT4 title bout.
Allegro there making a big move down at the inside into Canada corner under braking. Meanwhile, up front, Kurtz has the lead. Pilgrim staying in touch.
Perfect start from George Kurtz. Quite contrary to yesterday, where he was tagged, headed into turn 3, and spun around. Took a while to get started, finally did so, and had to knife his way back through the field. Did get the benefit of one full course yellow to catch back up to the GT3 field, and came awfully close to running down Andy Pilgrim in the final laps.
Yeah, it was a difficult day for George. He had a couple of bumps on the opening laps in Fanatec GT as well, and I think this car is one that they're going to have to utilize this afternoon, Ryan, so he's going to have to be careful here as they destroyed a car in Fanatec GT yesterday afternoon.
A big crash there, which has some major implications for that race, but more on that story later. Taking a look at the results after lap 1, and Schultis and Daskalos each up a spot, both at the expense of Kyle Washington. Seth Lucas, as mentioned, grabbing that second position away from Sabo, and now Sabo finds himself under attack. That's Brian Putt. B-Sport Racing Aston against Flying Lizard Aston. Maybe a little door-to-door contact, but Brian Putt grabs the spot, and Ross Schwest, opportunistic, he sweeps onto the inside. They make big contact up the hill under the Corvette bridge, and Schwest is able to get through as Putt spins it around.
Yeah, I think Brian just spun by himself, but a little bit of argy-bargy. The elbows were out there on the climb up to turn 6. That was really unnecessary. I mean, Sabo got taken advantage of. He tried to duke it out with Brian Putt down into turn 5, and that allowed Schwez to get to his inside, climbing the hill, and it looked like Elias just went for the apex early, and there was brief contact, but I don't think that had anything to do with Brian Putt's spin here.
No, I agree. Let's take a look at it again.
You're just rolling too much speed there, loses the rear end. Tires probably still not quite into their sweet spot. Lap 2 on a wild morning here.
Tire warmers in this series. GT America powered by AWS. That is in contrast to Fanatec GT World Challenge America powered by AWS, which we will see later on today. Rob Holland, veteran campaigner, as you mentioned, 3 consecutive wins now, and he's done it on 2 very different circuits. The Streets of Nashville, going over that big bridge with the tight, twisty bits on either end. And then here at Road America, fast-flowing circuit But Rob Holland on top of his game, as is the Rotec Racing team.
Yeah, really getting to grips now with this new Cayman. So he's on a roll, and I tell you what, that championship lead is definitely going to be threatened if he continues to run like this. But up front, Andy Pilgrim is keeping the pressure on George Kurtz here. Just ran the fastest lap of the race at a 2:10.6.
Yeah, had 0.5 of a second over Kurtz on that last lap. Andy Pilgrim, native of England, but he's been living in the States, has U.S. citizenship. He's driven just about any GM product you could imagine over the past few decades, I suppose, but has found a nice home with his Ski Autosports team and showing that the old Ferrari 458 still has some life in it.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's so nice about this championship. It's giving the inside life to some of these older cars, like Jason Daskelos has one of the older generation Audi R8s as well in this field.
Callaway Corvette, too, has probably more races behind it than it does in front of it. But that is part of the appeal of GT America powered by AWS. This top category is a chance to utilize some of the older spec GT3 cars up against the most modern ones you'll find, including this Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo.
An awesome piece of the racetrack this is. You whistle down through kettle bottoms, that Ferrari just singing in amongst the trees there. Tough turning point right there. There's a little bump there. If you really push the entry, you got to watch you don't wash out the front end just as you need it to carve into the corner. Look at that elevation climb. Massive. Flattens out a little bit, continues to climb, and then just peaks just before you get to the brakes there for turn one.
The battle has begun for third, fourth, and fifth. Schultis grabbed the spot away from Daskelos. He's now up into third. Daskelos, though, very much keeping pace. And Kyle Washington, who dropped back a few spots, too, at the start, he's keeping pace with these guys as well, with a lot less experience to draw from. This has been a good weekend, though, for Kyle Washington.
It really has. I was super impressed with his drive yesterday, and also Merkel, because Merkel lost most of the practice day here on Friday trying to solve some braking issues. So his lap time was minimal by the time he got to qualifying in the race yesterday. As we've seen so far this year, Merkel just really steps up when it comes to race time.
No question about that. Three very different platforms doing battle here with the front-engined Callaway Corvette.
Camera angle there looks like it climbs uphill. It's actually downhill as you get there for turn 7. Then obviously a steep drop here into the brake zone for turn 8. The race circuit's going to be resurfaced at the end of this racing season, starting in October, I believe, is when they're going to start to carve this one out and lay down some new turf, so to speak. And that could really ramp up the speeds here as we look at CJ Moses aboard the GT2 car in this field.
Runs 6th overall. If you're wondering where GT2 fits into the class spectrum, it is a big-time horsepower car. Here's a move from Sabo on Schwest, who appears to have maybe lost a little pace there going through turn 5, so that's a change for the third position in GT4.
Schwest was just very slow climbing the hill there, so I'm not sure if he made a little mistake down into turn 5, got out while he was scrambling for grip coming out, but Elias makes a nice clean move that time.
There's an off track for Allegro, who's running back in 14th in the GT4 class. Rotec Racing Mustang. Chris back underway. Quickly back to the GT2 conversation. High horsepower, low downforce for the GT2 cars. Very fast in the straight line, but should give up some speed relative to the GT3 cars in the corners. And it's a little bit to wrap your mind around, but the GT2 should fit in somewhere in between GT3 and GT4 in terms of outright performance, depending on the track.
Yeah, well, when you come to a race circuit like this, so many brake zones, so many corners, downforce is still king. So even if you're squirting down the straightaways a little bit more rapidly, overall on the lap time is the braking and corner, which will really be the biggest factor. Look
at this gaggle of cars, all fighting for position in GT4. So Sabo in third, Schwest in the red Aston runs fourth now, and Adelson is starting to come under pressure. He has to go defensive because Gray Newell is looking racy in the heart of racing Aston. But compare and contrast where these cars are strong in the power band down this straightaway. There is a difference between the Aston and the Porsche.
Yeah, it seemed yesterday when we were observing like the Aston was a little bit stronger, sort of mid-range, then right at the very end of the straight it seemed like the Porsche would come on a little bit stronger, so maybe a bit more aerodynamic there when you get to the top speed.
Jason Bell just dropped another spot on that lap. He's down to 9th as Moise Uretsky got by.
Well, thinking about that championship picture as well, he comes in with a 13-point lead over Rob Holland, who sat in third in the standings after 3 consecutive victories. But he's on course for grabbing 25 here today, and Jason's barely in the points, sitting in 9th.
And Ross Schwest is having a nice day too, as Newell takes a peek to the inside of Adelson, not quite close enough to draw alongside. But yeah, the top 3 in GT4, just 13 points separating them, with 5 races, including this one, yet to run on the season.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight at the end of today as they run right now, but still a long way to go in this race. Still just under 29, just over 29 minutes to go. Tire deck is certainly a factor around this circuit. It's very abrasive, gives great grip, but that certainly wears on the tires quite a bit, so you've got to be observant for that, even in a 40-minute sprint race. If we go green. Love this corner, drops away through the carousel. It just keeps coming at you. You just want to commit. You play chicken with the throttle in the race car in terms of how early you can get back to full power. And then just get set up tight. And those seatbelts get ready for the kink. Here it is.
Great speed shot. Down through Kettle Bottoms. This is the run towards Canada Corner. We might have a side-by-side move here. Adelson guards that inside jealously. How about Gray Newell, though? He makes the outside line work. He's at least side-by-side, and the track comes back to him here.
Yeah, he's going to probably try and slow it down a little bit, see if anyone can take advantage of that. Adelson now has the inside line for the final corner, turn 14. Gray's got to be careful here that he doesn't compromise his exit and lose positions coming off the corner, but Adelson gives him great racing room.
It does back up the rest of this traffic, though. That is Uretsky going side-by-side with De Silva. Jason Pell lurking as well, despite maybe not having the kind of weekend he was hoping for. Uretsky up another spot now. He's up to 7th from the back of the field. Here comes Adelson once again, this time to the inside of Newell, but Newell has the track position. De Silva will take the spot away from Uretsky now as they continue this fight down towards turn 3.
Uretsky, little weave there under braking. It's just the threshold braking. He's not moving the car deliberately. It's just right on edge there as he's trying to hit that middle pedal. And Jason Bell now trying to get a run here. It's going to be critical here for Jason, how he handles this. He felt like he had a chance of winning this race. You can see that De Silva, he almost touched there.
Very, very tight between the two. The Supra has been so strong here at Road America this weekend across both GT America as well as Pirelli GT4 America, and had just enough oomph to hold Jason Bell at bay. Bell took another peek at him, though. And Elias Sabo, since getting clear of Ross Schwest, he has caught Seth Lucas.
It's flying. I'm not sure if these guys may be a little bit closer to Rob Holland on this lap. I thought the gap was slightly bigger than what we're seeing right now, the margin, so I'm not sure if Rob had a little bobble on that lap somewhere.
Well, it does look like the last time by, Lucas was quicker by 9/10 of a second over Holland, and Sabo was even faster than the pair of them, so they are coming.
They are. Yeah, so that's a significant margin. There's plenty of time on the board, so I'm not sure if Rob Holland's balance has gone away a little bit. He's just trying to manage things too much, but he's going to see them ever larger looming in his rearview mirrors.
Sabo finished 6th yesterday, but did have the 2nd fastest lap of the race in class. Therefore, he started on the front row, dropped the spot early, but has rallied. And he is in fine form at the moment.
I think he's really enjoying the relationship that he's having with Andy Lee and also Steve Costello, who's running the Flying Lizard. Oh, and here we see Holland in the pit lane. I thought he was slow. Does he have a flat tire or something? So our leader in GT4 hits pit lane.
This is big. Not only was he leading the race, he was looking for a 4th straight win, and as we talked about, was just 13 points out of the points lead, and this is the team car. So a double whammy for Rotec.
racetrack. If he,
It's De Silva who's found the wall.
running close together.
Full course yellow has come out. Let's take a look, and it's just a simple spin. Does he get into the wall?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything simple about a spin at the King, but I'm with you, Ryan. Unfortunately, he didn't hit anything, and I wonder if De Silva, it's a separate incident. It must be.
That was about as fortunate an escape as you will see.
This is milder moment you're going to have. Let's put it that way.
Go buy a lottery ticket, Chris. It's your lucky day. Holy smokes. Trying to get that car refired. Maybe trying to do a little mental reset as well after that close call in one of the most fearsome corners in North American racing. That appears to be detritus left from De Silva's car. We're told it was a puncture for Rob Holland. This full course yellow.
This is turn 13. I'm not sure if that's where De Silva got into the fence.
Yeah. So they're doing the tire change there for Holland. It's going to drop him a lap. So that's not great news for Rob, and trying to keep that win streak alive. Also, we should note that Jason Harward, remember, he had to start from pit lane. He has made his way up to 7th overall now. So we take a look here. This was him working on CJ Moses, GT3 versus GT2 here, so not really for class position.
Gets the power down early, and nice clean move around CJ. So this is ideally what he needed. Starting from pit lane, he knew he was always going to be on the back foot. Clearing that GT4 field cleanly is going to take some time, but now he's going to hustle back around, join up with the other GT3 cars, and have a second shot at this.
Well, he saw, I mean, this is right out of the playbook from George Kurtz yesterday. Effectively the same situation. George, by virtue of contact and a spin, not starting from pit lane, but he found himself on the back foot early, made his way through the traffic, caught the yellow, and raced his way back up to second, so it can be done.
And just like George yesterday, Harwood is the fastest car on the racetrack, trying to make that move from the back of the pack. He just laid in 209.1 versus the leader's best 209.5, so he's got some pace.
We've been talking about the great race here from Elias Sabo, and Shay's got more on that story.
Down here with the Flying Lizard team principal, Darren Law, one of the team principals, I should say. It's been a great race so far from Elias, but this looks even more promising. It was going to be a potential best finish of the season for Elias, but now you're looking at a potential win.
Well, potentially. You know, it's still a little early to call that. We're P2, and he's running. I think he's turned the quickest lap of the race, doing a great job. You know, it's we like to see the yellows in some cases, maybe not so much here because now it bunched everyone up behind us, but he's doing a great job. Car's really hooked up.
What changed from yesterday to today with the confidence level to be able to give Elias this car?
You know what? He did a really good job yesterday as well. He had a better qualifier, so he started in a better position. There is no dampness in the track, so that's a real confidence boost for him, and he's feeling good right now.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yesterday, Darren helped with the pit stop in the Pirelli GT4 America race with Andy Lee and Elias Sabo. This is Custodio Toledo, who appears to be dead stick. This is out of Canada corner, headed towards turn 13.
Yeah, it's an uphill climb there, so if you don't have any power, you're basically going to roll to a halt.
That is one thing I've got sitting in my notes from Canada corner all the way to start finish. It's all uphill from there. So if you do have an issue, good luck trying to coast it back. But for Toledo, this is his first year racing at this level. Made his debut on the streets of St. Petersburg. Still looking for his first points on the season. I take that back. He actually did score his first points in the second race at Watkins Glen. Now with the Conquest Racing team after starting the season with the Rentec squad.
The GT4 cars just hustling back around, trying to catch up with the pack here. Long circuit to get things sorted out. If you get split, it's 4 miles. Lots of catch up there as the cleanup continues with Allegro's car off to the side.
There might be something more to this story because it didn't appear like he hit anything, so you would think he'd be able to continue on. Maybe there was something mechanically amiss with the car that induced the spin.
Like possible.
Top speeds overall, courtesy of Race Vision powered by AWS. Look at that old Ferrari 458. Andy Pilgrim, a 166.5 top speed. Jason Harward right there. And then CJ Moses in the GT2 Audi, 164.6. GT3 Audi. Jason Daskalos there, 4th, and Kyle Washington 5th fastest. And this track is unique in the fact that many tracks, yes, you can reach high top speeds maybe once on a lap, but there are 3 of those big dyno runs around North America.
Yeah, up into turn 1, down into turn 5, and down whistling through the kettle bottoms into Canada corner. So it demands a lot, and it also demands a lot from the brakes as well, because you're really working them over here, even during this 40-minute run. That was a concern for Mirko Schultis with a Callaway Corvette sitting there in third, the bright yellow machine. He was really losing his brake pedal, and that is a scary thing to have going on around this circuit. It takes massive commitment to get into these brake zones deep, and you need the pedal to be there, that is for sure.
It's been a good campaign, though, for Mirko Schultis. Small little team running a car that, as we talked about yesterday, good luck finding too many spare parts for this thing. There weren't that many Callaway Corvettes built in the first place, and they did almost all of their racing over in Europe. But as you said, from that conversation with Mirko, he likes being the underdog.
He does. He really embraces it, and he's talked about, well, I've driven, tested other cars, and yeah, they do everything right, and I've won races, but he said, this is what I want. I mean, he's got a long history with GM Power. Even when he ran Prototype Challenger races here with great success here a decade or so ago. So, yeah, he's a unique character, but he's a great racer. I mean, he doesn't crack under pressure, and Daskalos has been trying to find a way to buy this Callaway Corvette, hasn't figured it out yet today. So, good rebound for him after a difficult weekend.
Last winner at Team one of those Orica FLM 09 Chevrolets, as the Prototype Challenge cars were. One is Class Championship in what was then known as the Le Mans Series as well back in 2011 in a similar car with that identical Chevy power plant. We talked about what this full course yellow has done, who it's helped, and Jason Harward's name was the first one we identified. But how about Brian Putt? We know he's quick. He had that little spin. He's made his way back up to 10th in GT4. Now he's bunched back up. Keep an eye on that B Sport Racing Aston to make a charge here when we get back to green.
I think, unfortunately for Rob Holland, he's basically a lap down on the overall leader. I'm not sure if he's could get a wave by here, but it's going to take a long time to catch up, 4 miles to get back on the tail of this GT4 train.
That's a good point. Got to keep an eye on where he is relative to his class leader.
He's trapped, definitely. He's right there with the GT3 cars.
Okay. Well, while we continue behind the safety car, Shay has another update from the pits.
You guys mentioned Zalus Motorsports and Jason Harward being very happy about this caution coming out because it brings him back up to the back of the GT3 field. This is exactly what the team was hoping for early on in the race, for the yellow to come out. Well, Jason was setting purple lap times, meaning he was the fastest car on track before this caution came out. Team manager Ty Isaac said they hope that Jason can get around the cars ahead of him without too much issue. And the good news for them is the cars that are directly ahead of him, i.e. the Audi and the Corvette, they've been running about 3 seconds a lap slower than what Jason was doing before the yellow came out. Also, guys, keep an ear open. The Audi, to me, doesn't sound 100% healthy right now.
But that would be the Daskalos Audi, correct? Not the CJ Moses GT2 Audi?
You are correct on that. That would be Jason Daskalos' car.
That would be a shame for Jason. He's had a good weekend, caught up with George Kurtz yesterday, but has had good pace over the weekend at the very least. But as mentioned, Jason Harward does have that Crown Strike fastest lap of the race, and he has it by a big margin, not just against those two that he's chasing immediately in front of him, but also relative to Kurtz and Pilgrim. It's about 0.4 of a second better than either of those two have run.
Yeah, as we discussed that, you can see that he's got the pace here, and now he's got the track position to do something with that pace. So I agree with Shay here. Look out, because and I think Jason, I saw him last night. He was out with his friends and family there grabbing an ice cream here in local Elkhart Lake. And he said, I just got to be a bit more definitive with my moves. The incident yesterday he ultimately got penalized for, he just said, I got to be more definitive, get all the way down to the inside, establish myself. And I think that's going to be what he needs to do here with Kyle Washington and then Jason Dascalos, who he had the incident with here yesterday.
Exactly. Now, that's part of the learning curve, right? And credit to Jason Harwood, he really jumped in with both feet because he doesn't have an extensive racing background, and he didn't go touring car racing, he didn't go GT4 racing, he went straight for the big cars in GT3 last year, and to his credit, he's been a quick study and has shown good pace, but there's still a lot more to racing than just that raw speed.
It is, and he's learning quickly. He's just got a strong personality, and I think he's going to do just great. So you just got to bide your time. It takes a little bit to go through all those different experiences and be making the right decisions. I think he learned a lot from yesterday, and see if he puts it into play here when we get this restart.
Well, that is one aspect of this. When is that restart going to come? Because on one hand, yeah, the yellow was great. It bunched everybody up, but it's also chewing up a lot of this clock. Here is Rob Holland. We talked about him. This is the former race leader in the GT4 class. And I think there is that provision at the steward's discretion, right, since he's trapped behind the overall leader but ahead of the class leader, that he could potentially get the wave around. But even if he does, he's got to get all the way back around, get caught back up, and then start trying to work his way back up through the field.
Yeah, we certainly saw on that one lap where he lost almost a second to the chasers, and there was something amiss with the car that he was feeling. He had the experience to just bring it back to pit lane, get that tire changed out. As you said, if he could get the wave around, but time is of the essence here in terms of the overall clock, and also for Rob Holland to be able to get that wave by and then hustle back around.
Does not look like a restart is imminent as the cleanup continues and the car is still there on the scene. We're looking at least one more lap behind the safety car, and those chew up nearly 4 minutes each time around. Just shy of that, the last time was a 3-minute 52-second lap behind the Acura NSX pace car. So that puts us with, at best, somewhere in the vicinity of 8.5, 9 minutes when we get the restart, and that's if we get the green next time by.
Yeah, they're hustling. They're trying to get that Mustang out of harm's way. It looks like there's some oil dried down, so there must have been some sort of fluid leak after the front. So maybe he hit, maybe he saw some water temperature pressure issues, so he's elected to keep the car there, but maybe that's now leaked across the circuit.
Now we have a moment. Let's look ahead at what's still to come this season.
There goes Holland, I think.
Oh, yep, you're right. There is the wave by taking place, so that is exactly what they would hope for. Now he's got to hustle to catch back up.
Could be the fastest lap of the race.
It might be. That's a good point. And that there at least gets it back on the same lap as the rest of the GT4 class. And if he can catch back up to the train with the restart, maybe he can fight his way back up into the points. Keep in mind, points are only paid back to the 10th position. And he is in the middle of the championship hunt.
He's outside the points right now. It's a deep field here, so he's running 14th in class right now. So this is also an ideal lap to prep those tires. When we do get back to green, he's going to have tire temp, clean tires, and he could really cut his way through this field. But it's essentially he's got to run a lap time here, twice as quick if we go back to green next time by as the field behind the safety car. So he's got to be safe, certainly going through that caution area. You need to walk way down, but he's going to be hustling, that is for sure.
Did want to highlight the upcoming schedule for GT America powered by AWS. Coming up next, a trip to Sebring, site of the famed 12-hour race, and return to the SRO America schedule after a long time away last year. It proved to be a favorite.
I don't think we're going to need a sweater going to dinner in Sebring like we needed last night here. Beautiful night.
Might be onto something. And we wrap up the season in October at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in conjunction with the Indy 8-Hour, which is part of the Globetrotting Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli, which also includes Total Energies 24 Hours of Spa, Liqui Bathurst 12-Hour, among other high-profile long-distance GT events. And it also is a component of the Fanatec GT America Season 2, with points this year paid at the 8-hour mark, but racing all week long, basically, there at Indy. I think we get started maybe as early as Wednesday, certainly by Thursday, with the 8-hour now scheduled for a Saturday running this year into the twilight, which will be neat to see.
It's going to be really cool. See the pagoda lit up and see the finish there. That's going to be spectacular.
Proven to be a good home for SRO America since that event debuted a few years ago.
Yeah, you got an open house in your place, Ryan, for any fan who'd like to show up. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you could find us, come on in. Our house might stand out a bit. We'll have some checkered flag decorations and things like that out in the yard, I suspect.
They named the street after you. You are an Indian.
That's right. No, that has not happened. I think I'd probably decline.
Green Avenue.
Right. Good luck pronouncing that. Cleanup continues, and that does not bode well. Take a look, though. I don't know if I see the lights flashing on the safety car. We might be closer than I thought.
It's going to be tight. And that's going to make it a really tight timeline to the finish. It could give Rob Holland the chance to get back with this pack, though.
Looks like lights are off, and the good news is there are a number of different cutouts here in the track that the safety vehicles can go to. It's not like they got to make it all the way to the pit lane. So once this train gets by and then when Rob gets by, they should be released to try to get to a safe spot. And because of that, it looks like we are set to go back to green flag racing at Road America. The pace car has accelerated away, and George Kurtz, who has been under pressure in this race from yesterday's winner, Andy Pilgrim, approaches the VP acceleration zone, and as he was instructed to do, he gets on the pedal nice and early. Up the hill he goes. Andy Pilgrim giving chase in the Ferrari, and right behind you'll find Schultis, Daskalos, Washington, and Harward.
Yeah, I think Andy will be kicking himself a little bit. He's trying to prep his tires, and George got the jump on him there as now Daskalos looks for a move on Schultis. Deep on the brakes into turn one. It's going to be tight.
Yes, it is. Schultis closes the door on Jason Daskalos, and Kyle Washington now will close in. Here we've got a three-way battle between Astons and maybe a little contact down the pit straight.
Whew, that was so close there. There's a little bit of movement there from Elias Sabo, and great move by Gray Newell in terms of not having contact.
Schwest to the outside, Sabo to the inside. Gray Newell sitting there waiting for his chance, and Adam Adelson looking forceful. He has got two wheels in the grass, as does Newell. Side by side through three, and Newell forces his way by.
That was
and around
spin.
goes Schwest.
Wow, just lost the rear end under hard acceleration there coming off the corner. Just wonder if his tires were dirtied up a little bit, didn't have total grip that he's used to coming off that corner there, and just loses it.
He's able to keep it running, but that is another one in the championship hunt. That's second in points now. That drops well down the order. In the meantime, Jason Harward flashing those headlights, looking for a way past Kyle Washington. Everyone bottled up behind the Callaway Corvette and Schultis, who has got the elbows out.
Yeah, Harwood has got to cut through this field really quickly if he's going to have a chance at a podium run. He's got the pace to do it. Can he get the track position here?
And it's one thing to put those laps down in relatively clean track or even going through the GT4 field, but to run tight behind another GT3 car, that's no easy feat.
See the dust flying there. That's where the incident was with the Mustang. Harwood got a really good run through the kink. Daskalos looks to the inside, Harwood to the inside of Washington.
Two big moves in succession. Somehow those two in the front make it through without contact. Harward completes the move. He's up a spot on Washington. And a coming together here, Sean Whalen and Jason Bell. Another of the top three in points in GT4. Bell was the points leader. We go full course yellow, and this is why.
Oh, it was Brian Putt that actually got deep down to the inside. Whalen had nowhere to go. Wow. Jason is not going to be a happy camper with that one.
Full course yellow. Sean Whalen in the Zalus Aston. Jason Bell in the GMG Aston. And that says it all.
Tough day got even tougher there. You can see how frustrated Jason is, and I get it.
He had been running 7th when the incident occurred, and that's when his two closest competitors were having rough days. And what happened here?
Oh, this is massive.
Seth Lucas involved and Gray Newell involved, and a huge debris field that will almost certainly bring out a red flag, and that happened with double yellows out. What in the world could have led to that?
It's like someone was at speed and didn't realize that the pack would slow the way down for it to be that much contact.
Oh boy, hope for the best there. That looked like a massive collision. Well, this race has not followed the script. George Kurtz, it does appear. I suspect we will not see a restart of this race with only 5 minutes to go. George would get back in the win column. He had a 4-race win streak, 5 if you include his class win at Spa.
Right.
That went away in Nashville, and he's had a drought of 3 races without a win. That appears set to end. Another podium for Pilgrim. When they've shown up, that Ski Autosports team's been very good, and Mirko Schultis continues to be a podium machine.
I'll tell you what, this win is almost going to put him out of range. In terms of 4 rounds to go, 100 points still on offer when we leave here today. But he came into this race with a 70-point lead, and he's going to increase that, obviously, if they manage to get to the checker here.
It would be a 6th win on the season for George Kurtz. This new Riley Motorsports operation, new on this side of the sports car racing world at least. He's driven with that team in prototypes in recent seasons. And Riley's got experience running the Mercedes and other paddocks, and it just was a match that made a lot of sense. They branched out on their own for 2022. And it's been a fruitful relationship, not just in GT America powered by AWS, but the same could be said for their Fanatec GT program. George Kurtz and Colin Brown very much in the mix for the Pro-Am title there.
Yeah, George has very much got a spring in his step this year. You can just feel he's a lot more confident, a lot happier with his race car. Just a more consistent car. He knows every time he jumps in that cockpit that the car's going to be a certain window, and that just allows George to build on that. And when he got confidence, he can really perform.
Well, the safety crews are going to work. Incident was a big one on the front straightaway. And all we can do is hope for the best outcome. Looked like it was Seth Lucas and Gray Newell involved in that incident. Ambulance has been mobilized. Safety crew that travels with the series are some of the best you will find. Medical professionals, many of them have extensive resumes in emergency medical service, and they'll be right there on the scene. 2.5 minutes to go, and a rather sobering ending, unfortunately, to what has been a good weekend of GT America powered by AWS racing at Road America. Yeah, it looks like this one's going to come to a premature end. Should mention at GT4, Elias Sabo actually has cycled through to the lead and appears set to perhaps win that class, but we still have to wait a little bit for timing and scoring to fully update. I think I'm not entirely sure that what we're seeing is representative of where everyone's running at the moment. That's a look at Sean Whalen and Jason Bell exchanging notes on what happened in their incident. And we could talk about that one in greater detail.
Yeah, I think Sabo, who's now leading GT4, I believe he's running in the 3rd position behind Lucas. And
that does sound right to me,
obviously,
yeah.
with the incident just before the start-finish stripe, he would have cycled to the front. I believe that's how that evolved.
And I think maybe the reason we're not seeing the GT4 standings update to reflect this, I believe they might have stopped everyone on the straight, possibly shy of the start-finish line due to that big debris field. Understandably, given the nature of not just the debris, but also the heavy incident. There you go. Yeah, a lot of cars are stopped there on the track, and you want to make sure that the safety crew can get there as quickly as possible. Look at that. Those are very heavy barriers, something like 4,000 pounds, those concrete barriers, and you can see they have been shifted. So that is an absolutely massive impact.
That's just as you crest the hill, you got that monster climb coming out of turn 14. I think that's just about where that flattens out at the top. So I'm not sure if someone was blindsided.
That's a look at the nose of Brian Putt's car.
That was the contact with Jason Bell down into turn 8 where he just made that bold move down to the inside. It's always a tricky one, particularly when you got a number of cars jostling for positions, but
I'm clear to say that, correct? Cars are moving on past the incident scene. The clock has run out, so looks like we do have provisional results. Podium for GT3, George Kurtz, Andy Pilgrim, Mirko Schultis. CJ Moses comes home 7th overall, and de facto is the GT2 class winner as the lone GT2 car in the field. Elias Sabo comes through whatever happened there on what turned out to be the final lap, and picks up his first win of the season in this championship.
yes, he'd certainly like to be celebrating that under different circumstances, I'm sure. So first concern for everyone here is the safety of the drivers who were involved in that incident, particularly Gray Newell's car, which seemed to have significant damage in the aftermath. There's a number of these cars being told to circulate back around.
Yep. Yeah, not entirely sure what the final running order in GT4 will be. We'll have to wait for timing and scoring to settle that out. But of course, all that is secondary to the immediate concern, which again appears to be due to an incident which, from what we could tell, involved Gray Newell in the Heart of Racing Aston Martin and Seth Lucas in the Hattori Motorsports Toyota Supra. And as soon as we have more information, we will be sure to pass that along to you. But it has been coming in a slow trickle at this point, understandably. More important things are being dealt with. And as soon as we can pass along information, we certainly will.
So you can imagine unusual circumstances here, so the communication process in terms of what these drivers were needing to do here. I'm surprised they're actually sending them back around a full 4 miles here, but there was obviously congestion there at pit out, which could have become pit in for these drivers.
There is that cut through as well at turn 5. You could go through the tire barriers there and make your way back through the paddock that way. That always is one option. We'll see what they elect to do. Looks like they will do the full 4-mile circuit. Well, it looks like it will be a bit of a cleanup, and I suspect that the rest of our schedule for the day will be affected by this somewhat. Up next was scheduled to be race 2 of the weekend for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. We were set to come on air for that at 10 o'clock local time here in the Central Time Zone. Still have about 15 minutes before we would hit that, but that will be next in the event. Following that, Pirelli GT4 America with their second race of the weekend. And wrapping things up right around 1 1 o'clock local time with Fanatec GT World Challenge America powered by AWS, race number 2 of the weekend. See if Windward Racing can complete the sweep. Certainly they've been among the strongest teams here this weekend. Russell Ward, Philip Ellis with the big win yesterday. They're second in class, but first overall.
Yeah, they've definitely been on a roll of late. 2 victories here at this venue in the last 3 weeks. So see if they can grab another one today. Certainly they seem to have the setup right, but winning one of these races is never easy.
Yeah, elsewhere, outside of the pro ranks, Pro-Am very much up for grabs in Fanatec GT. This is one of the cars that will be contesting that race, actually. George Kurtz and Colin Brown, they lost their primary chassis in a lap 1 crash yesterday, so they'll be pressing this car into service. Good weekend for Andy Pilgrim, a win and a 2nd place. That little team continues to punch above its weight.
Yeah, it's great to see them here. They're not doing the full season, of course, but when they do show up, been very, very strong, coming off a podium in their first event and then a win yesterday, another podium here today, so very strong performance once again.
Pretty neat, too. You look at the top 5 cars here. George Kurtz is in a pretty much state-of-the-art, brand-new Mercedes-AMG GT3. Andy Pilgrim behind in a Ferrari 458 that's probably been racing for, what, 10, 12 years at this point. Callaway Corvette, maybe a little bit younger, but not much, right behind him. Then you get the older original R8 GT3 from Audi right there with Jason Dascalos, and then another brand new Evo on that Lamborghini, and all mixed up here together, making up the top 5 in the GT3 class. This is a look at the Flying Lizard Aston of Elias Sabo. Looks like he is due, provisionally at least, to pick up the win in class. George Kurtz, as you can see, again, Andy Pilgrim, Mirko Schultis, the podium in SRO 3 GT3, effectively. CJ Moses there, 7th overall in the GT2 car. Sabo, and then this will need a review, the GT4 results, with Newell and Lucas being involved in that accident that has us all holding our breath and hoping for the best. And with so much of the field stopped short of the timing line, this will have to be settled, I suspect, post-race based on timing lines and video evidence, things of that nature. So these are very provisional race results here at this stage. There is George Kurtz back in the winner's circle. Won't have much time to think about this particular victory. Not that he probably is likely to anyway, given the circumstances. But again, he'll immediately turn his focus to the 90-minute Fanatec GT race, which is coming up later on today.
And I believe he's using that same car, so I'm sure it's a sigh of relief for everyone involved with that organization that he's had a nice clean run. Another win is important, but I think probably more importantly, the car is in great shape and ready to go for this afternoon.
Schultis there in the Corvette, and here's CJ Moses. Beautiful looking car here in the GT2 class. Well, it's going to be a somber interview, I'm sure, with George Kurtz, but Shay is standing by.
Yeah, for George, it's a slightly muted podium celebrations, but another win on the season. This really has been your year in the GT America Championship. Talk a little bit about how much harder this race was than yesterday, though, because you were out front the whole time.
Well, you know, luckily we got a gap, and I was just trying to manage the tires, and had a good scrap with Andy. That was fun. Obviously, the 2 yellows interrupted the race. Hopefully, everybody's okay, but we came in, did what we needed to do, control the race, and you know, didn't want to finish on the green, of course, but got the win.
Do you enjoy battling with a legend like Andy Pilgrim?
Hey, any day you can beat Andy is a good day. Yeah.
Congrats, George. That day is today.
Thank you.
Sums it up nicely. So win number 6 on the season for George Kurtz, at least provisionally. I don't think that SRO 3 class is likely to be in jeopardy of any kind of review, but certainly GT4 very much up in the air. Highlights from the race: George Kurtz from pole, sprinted out ahead. Schultis with a nice strong move, looking for second around Pilgrim. This was the GT4 start. Pole sitter Rob Holland looked like he was on his way to a 4th straight win, starting from pole position. Seth Lucas and Elias Sabo going side by side, and it really was a good battle throughout the GT4 field. This was into turn 5, first time of asking.
Yeah, it's pretty hairy, but everyone escapes there through turn 5 on the opening lap. Does a nice job, but there was action later in this event all the way. Nice move up there by Ross West inside Elias Sabo. For position is Brian Putt as a quick spin exiting turn 6.
And drop Brian well down the order. Here's Adelson working on Newell. In the meantime, it's Uretsky and Joey De Silva with a nice scrap of their own. Jason Bell watching from behind. Bell found De Silva just a few corners later. They continued that fight down into turn number 5. Then this spin brought out the first full course yellow of the race as Chris Allegro went around in the Road Tech Mustang. When we went back to green, it was a fierce scrap here in GT4. Newell and Schwest. Schwest goes a little bit wide, drops that wheel and goes around. Then the big incident under full course yellow moves the barrier, and we still are awaiting an update on the drivers involved. We send our best. We hope for the best. When we have news, we'll pass it along to you in a broadcast still to come here today. Thanks for bearing with us. George Kurtz picks up the overall win. Provisionally, Elias Sabo, the GT4 victory in the second of 2 races for GT America, powered by AWS. As we sign off, though, our thoughts with Gray Newell and Seth Lucas here in Road America.